Okay, hello and welcome everyone to the Introduction to Public Policy and Administration Research webinar. My name is Taylor Lee and I am the liaison librarian to the School of Public Policy and Administration here at Walden. This webinar today is designed as an introduction to the Walden Library, and more specifically, its resources for public policy and administration students at any degree level. So undergraduate, master's, and doctoral, everyone is welcome. A lot of the resources we discuss will be helpful to you as you progress through your program. So if you are following along on a computer, I recommend creating bookmarks in your web browser so that you can easily navigate back to some of these resources in the future. With that being said, let's take a look at our objectives. So our first objective today is to learn how to find course readings guides and assignment guides. Another thing that we will do is learn how to access the Public Policy and Administration Research homepage. This is a page of resources specific to public policy and administration students. So if you're unaware of it, I definitely want to make sure you know how to access that. We'll also be looking at keyword searching, so some database searching skills, and we'll see how to apply those skills in a subject-specific database. And lastly, we're going to talk about how to access some other helpful library resources that you can get to through the library's website. Okay, so before we talk about research homepages, I'm going to toggle away from, let me close that. I'm going to go into Blackboard because I want to show you, oh, sorry about this, I should have been on the right page. I want to show you what you'll probably experience if this is your first class, or if this is one of your first few classes. You might still be getting into the swing of things. I want to walk you through the process of learning about those course guides and course readings. So here I am in PPPA 8004. Some of you might be in this course right now, but in any course, what you will do is, once you're in the course, you can come to the syllabus and scroll down until you get to course materials. And when you get to course materials, it's going to tell you a little bit about how you can go about securing whatever required textbook for your course. And in this case, it is the publication manual of the American Psychological Association. And you'll notice when I scroll over this resource, it's not highlighting. And that is because we at the library cannot provide access to required course textbooks. So keep that in mind. You will need to purchase those one way or another, either through the Walden bookstore or a vendor of your choice. Now, if we keep scrolling down, we see this course readings list section. And in this case, this course is cross-listed three times. So it's a public policy course, also a doctorate of public administration course, and a criminal justice course. All of these links are hyperlinked, and they will take you, if you click on one, they will take you to your course guide. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more in a moment, but I just wanted to show you, you can access your course guide right there in your syllabus. Now, unfortunately, in that course guide, that's not going to contain every single reading for your course, because there will be other readings that are linked directly in the classroom. So I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go back now to the home page for this course, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to week 4. And once I'm in week 4, I'm going to go to the resources section. Okay, so here we have our required readings for this particular week. Whoops. Okay, sorry about that. Now, as we scroll through these, we'll notice that some highlight when we scroll over them and some will not. And so for this one that does, you are able to just click that. A new browser will open up, a new window that is, or a new tab, and give you that reading. That is the case for these down here as well. They have this linked icon. But then there are others that don't light up at all, like these two down at the bottom and this one right here. Now for each of these readings, you'll see this note at the bottom that says note retrieved from the Walden Library databases. So that is your indication that these readings you're going to access in those course guides. So how do you get to those course guides? Well, the first way is clicking on that link in the syllabus like I showed you, but you can also come here to the library's homepage and click on this course guides button over on the right. When you do that, you will use your course code and number to track down your course guide. So for this one, we're looking for PPPA. So we'll select that, and then 8004. And this brings us to that course guide, the same one we accessed through the syllabus. In these guides, you'll have the rest of those readings, and they'll be nicely organized and hyperlinked, and this is where you can access those. Now, one thing you might also see when you come into these course guides are assignment guides. Now, for course assignments that require specialized library instruction, we have created assignment guides. Now, unfortunately, there will not be an assignment guide for every assignment, but whenever you do have an assignment that instructs you to conduct some kind of research in the library, it's a good idea to check the course guide to see if there is an assignment guide available. So I want to show you an example here. The links for these guides will be over on the left-hand side. I'm going to go to week 3 discussion. And when you come into them, it will give you a overview of the assignment instructions. And in this case, it is choose an article from an international peer-reviewed journal from the Walden Library. So it'll talk to you about that. And then you'll scroll down and it'll tell you exactly how to go about that, how to isolate international peer-reviewed journals in our databases. And then it'll link out to other helpful information at the bottom. Okay, so that is something to be aware of. Unfortunately, assignment guides are not linked in the Blackboard classroom. So you will not have, in most cases, any indication that there is an assignment guide available for your assignment in Blackboard. Now, that may be changing in the future. We're looking at that, but for now, just know that. So you will have to come to the course guide. Okay. Now, a common course assignment like the one we're seeing here might ask you to go to the library and find a peer-reviewed article from a subject-specific database. So in these cases, how do we know which databases to look in? To answer this, I'm going to come back to the library's homepage here, and we're going to talk about the research homepages or the subject area homepages. These pages are sites that provide access to a wealth of subject area library resources, including the most relevant databases. So how do we access these? There's a few different ways, but the easiest way is on the library's homepage in the subject resources box. Open up this drop-down menu that says select a subject, and here you'll have our complete list of our subject homepages. So I am just going to click on the Public Policy and Administration page. And once I do, you'll be on the public policy page, but you can quickly navigate between this page and the other research home pages up here in the left-hand corner. It says change my research home. And for a lot of public policy topics, a lot of them are multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. So you will want to explore some of these other subject areas as well. Now, all of the research homepages are going to have the same general format. You'll see a search box up here at the top, as well as a series of drop-down menus as you scroll down. I want to talk to you just a bit about this main search bar up here. You can search many kinds of subject-specific resources by typing your search terms into this search bar. This can be good for exploratory research at the beginning stages of a project, but the downside is it does not allow for too much precision. So one thing you can do is, well, in general, I recommend looking for scholarly literature in individual subject-specific databases. The difference is if you do a search in this box, it's searching across multiple databases, all of those databases that we have designated as relevant for public policy. But you can also go into individual databases, and this will help you keep track of where you've been, how you've searched, and in many cases, it will return more relevant results. Now, moving down on this page, we see we have a menu for databases. We'll be coming back to this in a moment. Also journals, books, government websites, which is of course very important for public policy. And then we get down into the research help section. And here we have all kinds of things. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything I wanted to mention. Yeah, so we have research basics up here. This is where you'll find resources to help you with some of the more common questions students have about the library, including choosing a topic, choosing a database, choosing search terms, database search strategies, evaluating different kinds of resources, and peer review. If we continue down here, we have I made a 7-minute video, a really quick video as an orientation for SPA students. It says SPA doctoral students, but it's really applicable for all SPA students. So this is a good resource to keep in mind. And then another video of a quick search in the database Political Science Complete, which we'll be seeing in a moment. And then we have more resources down below for the literature review, test and measures, theories and theorists, statistics and data, upcoming webinars, and finally, residency materials. So if you're a doctoral student, when you go to residencies, after you get back, I should say, you can look here and you'll be able to access the documents that you were seeing at the residency. Okay, let's go back up to this databases menu. Let me just check in to the question page, make sure everybody is still with me. Okay, looks good. Okay. So first question when we're talking about databases is, what is a database? I think we all have a general understanding, but essentially a database is a collection of related data organized and made easily accessible. So more to the point, databases are where you are going to find that peer-reviewed literature that you need for your course assignments and research projects. So when you click on this drop-down menu, you'll find a list of recommended public policy specific databases. You can specify a subcategory of public policy and administration by clicking on this drop-down menu within the bigger menu. And so you'll see we have a different list of databases for public policy, public administration, emergency management, government management, health policy, leadership, legal, and nonprofits. So keep that in mind. There will be overlap, of course, between some of the databases that appear on these lists. Now, I've mentioned this before, but these individual databases that we're seeing in this list are going to, most of the time, give you better results than you'll get by searching in either the main search bar on the library's homepage or even that search bar at the top of the public policy page. And you'll only see 5 or 6, looks like 6 databases show up in this list. But you can come down here to the bottom and click View All Public Policy Databases, and that will show you all of the others that we can't fit in this list. So I think there's something like 35 databases total for this subject area. The ones you're seeing here are the best bets. Okay, so I'm going to come into Political Science Complete. And when I click on that, it's going to take us to a fairly standard database search page. And you'll notice that it says EBSCOhost over here. EBSCOhost is the name of a database vendor. So it's a big company that provides access to a lot of different individual databases. So EBSCOhost is not the name of this database. If you ever want to know what database you're in, look above that first search box and you'll see that we are in the database Political Science Complete. That being said, any EBSCO database is going to have the same general interface, which is helpful because once you learn how to navigate within this interface, you'll be able to go to any of the other EBSCO databases too. All right, so you can see we have 3 search boxes here. Now, the key to inputting our search terms is to enter 1 concept per search box. Now, 1 concept does not necessarily mean 1 search term. 1 concept can include multiple synonymous terms, but they're all going to represent the same concept. So when you're starting out searching, it's helpful to take a moment to break down your topic, whatever it may be, into the various concepts involved. And we'll see an example of this now. So our research question that we'll use for this demo search is, how has technology impacted voting and elections? Well, let's just say, how has technology impacted voting in the United States? Okay, most of the time, you can just start by taking keywords straight out of that research question or research statement. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to enter technology in the first search box. That's our first concept. Voting in the second search box. And United States in that third search box. So this is the basic way we can set up this search. Now, before we click search, we want to scroll down and look at some of these limiting options. The first thing we want to do is check this box for peer review, because peer-reviewed literature is the kind of literature that you need 99 times out of 100. We're going to uncheck this box that says full text. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, it does depend a bit on what stage you're at in your program. So if you are still in the coursework stage, you're going to want to leave that checked because you need literature immediately. If you're collecting literature for your dissertation, you want to uncheck that because that is going to ensure that you're searching comprehensively. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave the full text checked for right now. And once we have those things selected, I'm going to go ahead and search. And we're getting 171 results for this search. Now, that's not bad. In fact, to give you a general idea of what I'm looking for, I always like to see between 50 and 200 results for any search I'm doing. If I'm getting fewer than 50 results, that is my indication that I need to start thinking about ways to search more broadly. Now, that could mean using broader search terms. That could mean removing some of my search terms. But you will want to search more broadly to get more than 50 results. If you're getting much more than 200, on the other hand, that's when you want to think about ways to limit your search. And we'll see some examples of that now. So we have 171. The first way to limit that I would recommend is by date. And so we can come down here and use this publication date limiter and drag this bar on the left all the way up to 2014, let's say. And sometimes you have to click it again to make it update. And that leaves us with 37 results. So 37 results is not too much, relatively speaking. So we might want to find more results. One way you can do that is to add some more terms. And this is when adding more synonymous search terms is going to come in handy. So we're going to enter some additional terms for each of these concepts. So in addition, when we're talking about technology, we might also use words like digital or electronic. And you'll notice I've separated these words with the word or capitalized. Now, these days you don't have to capitalize that or. I do so out of habit because it used to be that you had to, and it helps me keep everything straight when I'm looking at it. So that's why I do that, but you don't have to. When we're talking about voting, we might also think of the word elections. And then for United States, usually that's fine the way it is. We might enter or USA as well. And once we do that, let's search again. And here we are, we've jumped back up to 160 results. So we went from 35 or 37, I think it was, to 160. So that's just a brief demonstration of how many more results you stand to find by including a few extra search terms for each concept. Now, once you start scrolling through your list of results, you're going to see various ways to access the full text of these materials. So a very common way to do that is you'll see an HTML full text link. That's going to open up the full text of that article in your web browser. You also might see a PDF full text link. That's going to do the same thing, but it'll be in PDF format and you can download it. And then you also might see this Find at Walden button. This is very common. When you see this button, it is an indication that we have this resource, this article, somewhere in our collection, but not in this particular database. So when you see this button, click on it, and it'll take you to wherever that article lives. Okay? So don't be afraid of that Find at Walden button. Now, let's see. I'm going to, well, let me go through this process. Sometimes there are problems with the Find at Walden link. Let's see if this one, I think this one was giving me trouble last time. So I clicked on that Find at Walden. It'll take you to this page where it'll say select a database. So I'm going to select this one, the only one it offers me. And it'll probably work this time. Yes, it is working. And so you'll have the abstract and you can scroll down. Computer's being a little slow. Gives you the full text right here. You can download the PDF over here and everything is great. Now, sometimes it won't work that smoothly. In fact, I think last time I did this webinar, I tried to access this article and it just took me to an error page and told me I couldn't access it. That does happen, and a lot of times the reason for that is there is a 1-year embargo placed on electronic content by the publisher. So we don't have access to that content for a year after it's published in print format. So if you ever come across that and you really need that article, you can request that through document delivery service, which we'll touch on in a moment. Okay, now close out of here. Now let's see. Okay, a good thing to know about is if you just click on the title of an article, it'll take you to the detailed record. And here you'll have the PDF access or the full text access over here on the left, but you can scroll through, you can look at the authors. The authors will often be hyperlinked. You can click on their names to see any other publications they have in this database. The journal name as well will be hyperlinked. And then you'll see subject terms. Subject terms are really helpful things to know about. These are terms that have been applied to this particular article by people who have read it. And experts in the field have read it and said, okay, this article is about these things. And so it's helpful to review these lists of subject terms because often you'll find helpful search terms that you can use in your future searches. So in this case, we have subject terms and then author-supplied keywords, which are similar. And then you can also read the abstract if you're ever unsure if an article is really relevant for your research. Read that abstract, it'll probably clear that up. It's just a succinct summary of the article's contents. So I just wanted to show you that detailed record page and also these tools that you have over here on the right. So you can upload it to Google Drive, you can add it to a folder within this particular database, print it, email it, save it, cite it, all kinds of things. You can grab a permalink and that will allow you to get back to this resource whenever. You can email that to yourself, save it in your own records. You can have it read this article to you, you can translate it, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, if you are ever struggling to find good results in a subject-specific database, well, let's take a moment here. So if this was our topic, what I would do from here is come back to this list of databases on the public policy page and go into each of them and run that same search. And you can experiment with your search terms, but once you go through this list and maybe some additional ones in the bigger list, you'll have a pretty good idea of how much is out there on your topic. But let's say you're struggling to find good results in these subject-specific databases. You can also try searching in Thoreau. And to do that, I'm going to come back to the library's homepage. So Thoreau is our multi-database search tool that searches most, but not all, of our databases at the same time. And when you do searches in this main search bar on the library's homepage, that's what you're using. You're using Thoreau, and you know that because there's this button up above the search box that has Thoreau checked. So there are pros and cons to using Thoreau. Some of the pros are that it is multidisciplinary. It will show you lots of different results in different formats, books, articles, newspapers, etc. It's often good for undergraduate research or for graduate discussions. It's also good for an overview of a topic to see what's out there. Some of the limitations, though, are that it does not show you everything. So you will need to go to some other individual databases to search comprehensively. It is not appropriate as the only database you use, especially at the dissertation or doctoral level, because it's not comprehensive and it's not subject specific. So I think we were getting something like 160 results from that last search. I'm going to do a comparison search here. You can just enter in a term here. What I like to do is click this link underneath that says advanced search. And that's going to take us to a search page that looks nearly identical to the one we were seeing in Political Science Complete, except now we look above that first search box and we see we are searching Thoreau. So let's enter in those terms again: technology or digital or electronic, and then we have voting or elections, and then United States or USA. Okay, same thing, we want to scroll down, check the peer review box. We're going to leave the full text box checked. And we can also limit our date range on this first page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that by just entering 2014 into the first year box. And let's see how many results we're getting. 2,355. So this is a really good example of the differences in results that you'll see when you use a big search tool like Thoreau or even Google Scholar. It's much worse than Google Scholar, actually. You'll get more results than this. And some of those subject-specific databases. You're going to be dealing with a lot of noise in this list of results, a lot of results coming from different subject areas that are not immediately relevant to your topic. Okay, so if you ever have a question about anything library related, I want to show you where you can come to get help. So here we are back on the library's homepage, and I want to show you quick answers and library guides. So we've seen how this button here is checked for Thoreau, but we can toggle to search everything. And when we do that, you'll notice the text that appears in the search box changes. And it now says search library skills, quick answers, articles, and more. So that's what you'll want to do. And you can enter in any phrase or word that you have a question about. So I'm just going to use this term peer review as an example. So I'm going to press enter to search. And this is what the results page is going to look like. You're going to have 3 columns. On the left-hand side, this is where our guides are going to show up. The central column is where quick answers will show up. And then over here on the right, you will see results from Thoreau. Now, as the name implies, quick answers are very concise answers to commonly asked questions. So when we search for peer review, the first quick answer we're seeing is, what is peer review? So you could click on this, it's going to tell you in a very condensed form what peer review is, how it happens, and then it will link out to other relevant information down here. On the other hand, we look over here to the left and we can look at some of our guides on peer review. So you'll notice 2 links for these guides. The first one will actually be a section of the second one. So I'm going to click that second one to take me to the bigger guide. This is our Verify Peer Review Guide. And as you can see, this is just going to give you much more information about peer review, as well as walk you through the process of verifying the peer review status of articles or anything else that you find. Okay. So I'm going to just come back to the library's homepage now, and I want to make sure you know where you can reach us as you encounter issues or have questions in the future. This button up here on the right, Ask a Librarian, this is how you will contact us. You have a variety of ways you can do that. You can email us a question, you can chat us during specific hours, you can call in a question. And if you are a doctoral student, you have the option of scheduling a doctoral research appointment. That is a 30-minute sit down with a librarian where they can offer you individualized assistance with your research. So keep that in mind. It's a very valuable resource. So that concludes what I wanted to cover in this session. Just to review, we learned how to access course readings and assignment guides. We learned how to access the research homepages and the public policy research homepage. We learned how to do a basic search in a database, Political Science Complete, and we learned about how to access some other library resources and how to get more help. So I'm just going to scroll through these other slides. We deviated from the PowerPoint presentation, and that's okay. I just want you to see that I have hyperlinked all of this information. So feel free to download this PowerPoint and save it in your own files.